And hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this training session. I'm Brenda from Cnki. Today, I'm going to share with you steps to use Cnki databases when doing research. Hope these simple techniques will be of some help. In today's training, we will start with how to find a worthwhile research question. I will share some ways to identify research trends and topics in Cnki databases. Then I'm going to elaborate on some research techniques to help discover more relevant literature. After that, I'm going to introduce some tools for paper writing, such as sentence search, and reference export. Then we will brief on how to get a paper published in a journal that we choose. At the very last, if you have any questions on this lecture or any problems concerning Cnki usage, we're glad to respond and provide advices in this part. Right, now let's take a look at the first part, like how to find a research question that is worthwhile to write about. Before we answer this question, what we need to know is that what makes a good research question. In 2016, the United Kingdom voted through a referendum to leave the European Union. It was almost an earthquake that has tremendous effect on multiple disciplines. When we did analysis on related literature, we can see that the number of articles, both from Chinese journals or journals of other countries, they're all sold and reached a summit in 2016, which suggested that that was really a heated topic that had provided much food for thought. But big changes like this can provide many academic growth points and research topics worthy of further discovery. But we cannot expect such big events to happen all the time. So what we have to do is to discover changes in our own research field. And the question now is how to find these changes worthy of our attention. Well, Isaac Newton wrote in a 1675 letter to Robert Hooke, and he said, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulder of the giants." We can see that Newton was content to build ideas of others and owed his own success to what the giants has previously done. Well, and here we can equal out this shoulders of the giants, such research outcomes that has very much promoted Newton's own research to this highly qualified first-class literature. So if we want to know what is going on in our own research fields, we really need to read these premium articles. So the problem now is how to find or locate these articles in our Cnki databases. The solution would be, we all know one or two prominent scholars in our own research field or our own research orientations. And what if we only want to know their research outcomes? Well, let's take Professor Cnki from Peking University, for example, who has been a leading scholar in Chinese literature. First of all, let's come to the homepage. And here at the search bar, and then we can select author here and then put the scholar's name and click the search button. And then we got all articles written by Cnki in Cnki. Well, in this page, we can see that these articles are categorized into different databases like academic journals, theses and dissertations, stuff like that. And the Chinese literature and those in other languages. And also we can filter these literature by various dimensions, such as subjects, disciplines, literature types. We can also read them by publication dates. If we read them by publication dates, we can review most recent works of Professor Cnki and find anything new that is going on in his research. But from here, we notice that some databases are not academic articles, like newspaper database. If we want to leave them behind and not include them in his research results, we can click here and cross these databases off. And then when we refresh the page, we can get everything we want. Then if we want to have a general view of what these articles are about, we can check this column on the left and see the subject part to see what are the specific topics Professor Cnki has written about. Well, here the subjects refer to some like the most commonly used words in an article. Well, let's take a look at this read a little poem, for instance. Well, in this little poem, it totals like 28 characters. The phrase 桃花 appeared 6 times. When we say 桃花, then we can say 桃花 is the subject of this poem. Well, similarly for a long paper, for a longer paper, there might be words and phrases that appear more commonly than other expressions. And these words and phrases can be seen as the subject of this paper. You can also click the button here and get visual analysis. When we select annual cross-analysis, and we can see how the subjects are distributed over the years to check what Professor Qian has paid attention to. Well, besides subjects, we can also do analysis, general analysis to Professor Qian's works. Here we can choose export analysis, visual analysis, analysis of all research results. And then we get a tendency chart of his research outcomes and know how, whether he's still active in academia. Well, apart from 1 or 2 specific authors we want to know more about, we can also find a group of prominent scholars in a simple way. Again, we have to come to the home page, and when we pull down in this part, we can have a Cnki expert database. In a new page, we can see expert in different research fields. Here we also take Chinese literature, for example. Then we can select here like 哲学人文科学 and 中国文学. And all experts are shown and ranked based on its H index. Here we can see like Professor Tong Qingbi ranked the first according to his H index. Well, click the scholar's name and we can see more basic information about him. His works published in Cnki. And here we can choose by read by time or read by literature type. Also, we can see how his works were cited. And here each blue point represents a specific work of his. And click the point, we can see more information about the article. Well, we can also see the scholar's network, like who have cooperated with him in writing a paper and who have cited his works, and he has taken whose research for references. Well, besides information about this specific expert, we can also see more other, like some other prominent scholars in the same research field. And they're ranked based on their the number of published papers and how many times their works are cited, as well as their H index and G index. Well, apart from following top scholars' works, another way to find first-class literature would be review articles from first-class journals. Well, let's take archaeology, best journals in archaeology, for example. Similarly, we come to the home page, and here we click publication search. Well, then we have journal navigation. And in a new page, we will select literature, history, philosophy in series F. And specifically, we choose archaeology. Then we will have a list of journals in archaeology. They're shown based on their impact factor. So top journals on the top. Here we can take 考古, for example. Well, we click the journal title and we can see some basic information about this journal. And we can have a general review of this evaluation information. Well, apart from this, like click the journal, come to this part. If we want to read the most recent articles, we can choose to read by issue. Apart from this, some journals might have a specific column for new discoveries and ideas. Well, like in this journal, here's 新发现 means new discoveries, and 新进展 means new progress. Well, besides, we can also select statistics and evaluation. And here, keywords distribution of journals in recent decades to see what subjects are mostly written or mostly have been studied in this journal. Well, when we click these little columns, or it's little items here, we can get a tendency chart showing how the specific subjects are distributed over the years. Well, if you want to gather all articles about 新石器时代, and we can input 新石器时代 here and search within the journal. But these, that's how we read articles journal by journal. But what if I want to collect excellent articles and papers in its excellent journals all at once? Similarly, we come to this homepage, and here we can select, we can choose advanced search. And the new page, because I want to know something more about something excellent papers in archaeology. So in its classification column, I can choose like archaeology. And here, I have to make sure that all these articles are from academic journals, so I can choose to enter this specific databases. So here we can say, we can see from the source type, there are many databases we can choose. For example, we are quite familiar with SCI and EI source journals, what is PKU core journals, and what is CSSCI, and what is CSCD. Well, PKU journals refers to like more than 2,000 journals, fast academic journals selected by Peking University, and the list covers both journals from natural sciences and social sciences. For SSCI, it contains more than 600 best academic journals in social sciences, but it's selected by Nanjing University. Well, and it covers only journals in social sciences with in natural sciences exclusive. Well, similarly, we have CSCD. It's the Chinese Academy of Science. They selected more than 1,000 top academic journals in China. And click search, and we can have like the results we want. Here, we can see on the left, for the subjects, we can see that how these articles are divided into different subjects and has the most research outcomes. We can say that 发掘简报 here outnumber other subjects. Or we can also do a visual analysis on this literature and have a general trend of what has been studied over the years. Well, if we like click a specific column, we can get a more specific tendency chart on every single subject. For instance, research on Xinhua Jian here started in 2009, suggesting it's a relatively new research orientation, and the number of literature is still on climbing. And also see the scholars contributed. We can also see like the scholars, what are some scholars that contributed most in the research fields? For instance, here, Gao Xing from 中国科学院南京地质古研究所, like he has been very active in the research field recently. And we can also see which research institutes are mainly involved in research. Well, besides core journals, another source also worth of our attention, and that is found literature. And this literature refer to like research outcomes founded by the government. And this very these founded literature, to be honest, is very hard to supply, and the standards are quite strict. So only top scholars and professors from prestigious universities and research institutes can successfully get these funds and conduct research accordingly. And here, if we want to like filter this found literature out, similarly, we can select archaeology in the classification column. And here we don't have to choose any specific databases, and we can like click all here, or Chinese literature only, because we can see theses and dissertations also have many like found literature. All right, by reading such first-class articles, we can always find something new in them, be they new ideas, new methodologies, new research paradigms. The newest is what makes them outstand other research papers and what makes them worthy of our attention. Well, then let's come to the second question, like how to evaluate a proposed research question in Cnki database. What if I have already had a research question in hand? And how can I know it is a research hot topic? Well, a simple solution would be to do a visual analysis. Well, let's take Song Huizong as an example. Well, in the search bar, we can input the keywords that I want to search, like Song Huizong, and in the classification column, maybe we can choose like history of China, China-Asian history, and modern history, and stuff like that. And then we got all the results and click export analysis, visual analysis, analysis of research results. Well, in this chart, we can see what the number of related literature is on the rise in recent years, which basically suggests that more people are paying attention to this research orientation. And we can still take part in this topic and figure out something new. Well, let's take a look at another example. Here, the keyword I input is 科举. And when I see its general trend, sure, it is on the rise. But for me, 科举maybe it's too general. So too general to be a research question. So here I can choose to view the distribution of subjects and see the trends. When I click this little columns specifically, I can get a tendency chart of them. And here we can see 明清时期 articles with the subject 明清时期 has the highest increase rate since 2020. So it's a better topic than other subjects maybe. Well, let's now try another word, like 军机处. Well, in the new chart, research about 军机处reached summits in 2018 and was on the decline in recent years. What that suggests for many reasons, like it's hard to find a good research question and many other complicated ones, less people are doing research on this topic, so we better avoid it. But if we think this tendency chart or this trend is not that accurate as we had thought, we can still refer to literature reviews to find what research has been done and what has been not. Here we take Su Shi, studies on Su Shi, for example. Similarly, I input Su Shi here in a subject. And in its research outcomes, I can, in its research results, well, here I can choose summary. And to view some literature review recently have written. But what if I think that these literature review are not quite recent ones and not good enough for, not enough in number of words to read? We can still refer to thesis and dissertations because every single one of them has a literature review section, right? For instance, we can filter here. Also, we input Su Shi, and we can change another database, thesis and dissertation. And here we can sort or filter by relevance and pick one that is most relevant to our own studies. And here we can see the literature review section and find out research trends and gaps. All right, next session, I would like to introduce some search techniques in Cnki databases. While in our daily use of Cnki, we might come across the following situations. Case one, having more than one keywords in the searching unit. For instance, I want to get our articles themed on 宋代科举. Well, if here I simply put 宋代科举 as one expression in a search bar, then the platform will take that term as a whole, and I can only get like around 400 papers. But if I separate 宋代科举 into two independent terms and link them with asterisk, then I can get articles containing the subject 宋代 and those with the subject 科举 with the same intention. I can here get almost like 2,000 relevant papers, almost quadruple the previous result. Well, let's see a more complicated case. If I here want to gather articles concerning 敦煌壁画飞天, which obviously a long expression containing more than like two keywords. So if I input 敦煌壁画飞天, unfortunately, I only got like around 200 results. But if I separate it into three terms and link them with an asterisk, the results doubled. The second situation we might encounter is like we're not so sure which expression is the most accurate way of saying something, or it has multiple ways of speaking it. For instance, if I wanted to research on some specific kind of porcelain, but you can either call it 汝窑 or 汝瓷. Here, if I want to make sure that all relevant literature are included in the results, I can simply add an plus to link the two terms to get more results. Now let's take a tougher one. If I want to know something about fortune telling in ancient China, but I'm not sure the right way to say it, whether it can be 算命, 占卜, 面相, or 手相, what can I do? Here I can input, if I put 古代算命, unfortunately, I can only get one single result. But if I separate the term into two, like I have previously done, I can add 8. But 8 does not seem to be a good number. So here I input such a formula. Then what I get in the results are articles with a subject 古代 at the same time and having a subject 算命 or 占卜 or 面相 and or 手相. In all these searching formulas, we have to make sure that there's a space between our words and symbols. Well, we're still having a third situation. Like there will be no results or limited results. Well, let's take 两支砍线 as an example. Well, we cannot separate it because it is a whole. And if we cut it into two words, that would make no sense. Then when we input 两支砍线, we can say there are only like 70 papers. And here, I no longer choose to search by subjects and transfer to title, keywords, and abstract, suggesting that the articles I get later contain the term 两支砍线 in their titles, keywords, or abstract. So from search by subject to search by title, keywords, and abstract, we actually expanding the search scope. Well, like similarly, if I switch it to search by full text, we're actually expanding the search scope again. I can get more results, but I have to keep in mind that though in this case, I can find more papers, but the relevance decreases as I expand the scope. So what are some other techniques to find relevant literature? In Cnki, we have knowledge network node to help us do the job. And what is that? Here we have found our target article A. For article A, for this article, its author has definitely written other articles, such as article B, and has reference works, such as article C. Articles that is cited this article A, for example, article D, and last but not least, articles sharing the same keywords with article A, like papers like article E. Well, in this case, article B, C, D, E can be connected by article A and thus can be seen as article A's relevant literature. And this is how we connect literature in Cnki databases. Well, with these knowledge network nodes, we can tell how one research has evolved. Previously, its research foundation and its development. For instance, for article A, article C represents its research foundation, and article D is how the research further developed by other studies. Well, now let's come back to 两支砍线 and see if we can discover more research papers via knowledge network node. Also, we can pick one study and come to the knowledge work node. And then we'll pull down the page and you can see its citation network. Here, like co-citing literature refers to articles that have the similar reference works or have the common research foundation. Here, co-cited literature refers to paper that are cited together with this article as a basis for further research. And references is something that we're quite familiar with. And here, sub-references refers to references of references. And all this relevant literature can provide us with some food for thought for own studies. Also, we have related literature if you want to know more about this research. Okay, in the following session, I would like to share with you some useful tools in the Cnki platform. To start with, we can use sentence search to find more original data and information. Well, with this tool, we can find a specific definition, for instance. Previously, we had used 两支砍线 as the searching case, but what is that? And how it is defined. If we want to use this tool, when we come back again to the main page and we can choose here, we choose advanced search, and then click sentence search. For definitions, I can input the term I want to know in the first blank, 两支坎线, and expressions that represents definition, such as 含义 or 内涵 or 定义 in the second blank. Also because I expect two terms, well, namely 两支坎线 and 含义, are highly likely to appear in one single sentence. So here I choose to search within the same sentence. And click. And the results, I can say directly what 两支坎线 means, and we can thus pick the one that suits the most. Well, by using this sentence tool, we can find definition for some very recent term, such as meta-universe and like things like that. Well, same, we input 元宇宙 in the first blank and 定义 in the second, and click, we will have a general idea of what meta-universe is. Or we can find a figure. For instance, I want to know the population in Song dynasty, but I also want to make sure that it comes from some academic source, not something that are common websites. So here I put Song and in the first blank and 人口数量 in the second, search within the same sentence because I think these two are closely linked and get results accordingly. Or if I'm going to conduct a survey on Chinese language teaching and learning in Thailand, and I need one for reference, I can also use sentence search to help me find what I need. Here I put 4 keywords, and I want keep 华文 and 教育 in the same sentence because they're more closely linked. And for 问卷, 附录, meaning appendix, I just have to make sure they're in the same paragraphs. And here in the same paragraph refers to means 20 sentences. Well, in the following results page, we can see that there are many results. And to make this more relevant to what I'm searching for, I can filter by subjects, and then I can pick one result and find the survey sample I want in the appendix. Well, in the same way, I can use the same method to find a graph or table as long as I can flexible manage these keywords that I'm going to search for. Well, the following tool is much easier to use. Export references works with a click. For instance, I want to export the following papers as my reference works. I can just select them, and here, export analysis, I can choose export reference and choose the right format. And that's everything. Here, in this page, we can make adjustments and copy these references. Finally, let's take a look at how to get a paper published with Cnki's help. For instance, I've already written an article on Su Shi, and I want to get it published. So the very first step, also the most important one, is to identify a purple journal for publication. So I'm going to search Su Shi by subject and get all related literature. Then in the filter column on the left, we can see which journals published most articles about Su Shi, and then click here, we can get a visual analysis of these results. And here we find 乐山师范学院学报 had the most publications. So here again, we come back to the searching page, the previous page, and choose the journal. Here we can see all articles like published in this journal and about Su Shi. And you can view by publication date or by sites or by downloads. And if we view by like publication date, we can know some recent studies. We can also click the journal title and have a closer look at it. It's basic information and evaluation information. If we browse by column, we find there is a specific column, 三苏研究, suggesting that it is specifically dedicated to studies on Su Shi, his father and brother. We can also review statistics and evaluation and the keywords distribution of key journals in recent decades to get to know the trends of Su Shi studies in the journal and how many articles on Su Shi have been published as of today. And here, like for 2022, 8 papers have already been published. Previously, the number would be like around 14 articles published each year. So if you want to publish an article about Su Shi in this journal, the chances are we have only like 5 or 6 articles left. Okay, if we want to get our papers in a better, get our papers published in a better journal, here we can select core journals. The core journals refers to Peking University core journals, as I have previously mentioned. And we can choose 文学遗产 here. In the same way, we can take a closer look at the journal, its basic information, and we can compare with the previously journal we have chosen. Here, the impact factor. But we have to keep in mind, the higher the impact factor is, the harder to get our paper published. Last, we can also search within the journal to find whether they have provided tips for publication. If yes, like here, 乐山师范学校投稿指南, that would be very convenient for us to edit our paper to tailor to the editor's need. Well, I think it's all that I have to share for today. But before we proceed into the Q&A session, I'd love to introduce another useful application, Cnki Express. This application allows users to use Cnki without IP limitation. So if you're interested in it, please scan the QR code to get more information. So now I'm gonna pick all the questions. How to turn subject into English. Sorry, I'm afraid we still does not have that function, but we're improving. Where we give this feedback to the product manager to see if we can improve that to provide subject in English.